The studio lights blazed hot above the stage, gleaming off polished cameras and the eager faces of the live audience. Sherri Shepherd's laughter rang through the room like a bell, warm and familiar, carrying that rare ability to make even strangers feel like family. It was supposed to be another spirited episode of her daytime show, a safe space for light-hearted banter, sharp wit, and open conversation. But on this particular morning, something was brewing, something unexpected, raw, and very human. Joy Behar, the seasoned comedian and outspoken co-host known for her candor on television, sat across from Sherri. For decades, she had built her reputation on saying what others were afraid to. But age had softened her in ways few understood. Behind the bold voice and fiery opinions was a woman who'd endured personal loss, political storms, and the quiet loneliness that comes when the cameras shut off. Today, though, the mask of humor clung tightly to her face, ready to defend against whatever vulnerability might surface. The segment began smoothly, two women from different generations laughing about careers, motherhood, and the chaos of live television. The audience roared with delight, clapping and nodding along. Yet beneath the polished flow, tension simmered. Joy was tired, having battled insomnia and personal grief the night before. Sherri, committed to keeping her show light, tried steering away from heavy topics. But Joy, true to herself, pushed back, raising questions about society's divisions, about kindness being lost in the age of judgment. At first, it was playful sparring. A joke here, a quick rebuttal there. But then came a moment, sharp, unfiltered, when Joy said something that cut deeper than intended. It wasn't cruel, but it was blunt, questioning whether daytime TV sometimes ignored the real struggles people faced beyond the studio lights. The audience grew hushed. Sherri's smile faltered. "Joy," Sherri said, her tone still gentle but firm, "this is my show. And we try to keep it a space of hope. Not conflict." The words hung in the air. For the first time in years, Joy felt small, misunderstood, almost exiled from a room where she had once commanded laughter. Something inside her cracked, not from Sherri's words, but from the flood of loneliness they touched. And then, shockingly, the producers made a call. A stagehand stepped forward, whispering into Joy's ear. The message was clear, the segment was ending early. She was being escorted off. Gasps rippled through the audience. Joy's face flushed crimson. She stood abruptly, trying to cloak her humiliation in a smile, but her voice trembled. "Well, I guess I've been kicked off better shows before." She laughed, but it was the brittle kind of laughter that shields a breaking heart. The cameras cut to commercial. Sherri's eyes dropped, regret shadowing her features. Joy, meanwhile, walked off stage, her heels echoing against the studio floor. She had been in countless debates, survived public controversies, and clashed with powerful figures, but this small, personal dismissal cut differently. It wasn't about politics or comedy. It was about belonging. Backstage, Joy sat alone in the dressing room, staring at her reflection under the unforgiving bulbs of the mirror. For a moment, she saw not the television personality, not the comedian, but just an aging woman who had given her life to making people laugh, and still felt unseen. Tears welled in her eyes, ones she hadn't let fall in years. But then came a knock. Soft, hesitant. The door creaked open, and a young intern peeked in, a woman barely in her 20s, clutching a clipboard to her chest. Her name was Mariah, and she had grown up watching Joy on television with her late mother. "I'm sorry, Ms. Behar," she whispered nervously. "I know this isn't my place, but, can I just say something?" Joy, surprised, gestured weakly. "Sure, kid. What's on your mind?" Mariah stepped closer, her voice trembling. "When I was little, my mom worked double shifts just to keep food on the table. We didn't have much, but every evening she'd watch you on TV. She said you were the one who reminded her that women could be strong and funny and unafraid to speak their truth. She'd laugh at your jokes until she cried. And when she was sick, near the end, it was your voice on the screen that made her forget the pain for just a little while. Tears blurred Mariah's vision. She took a breath. I just wanted you to know, you've made a difference. Even when it feels like people don't get you, even when you feel pushed aside, you've changed lives. You changed mine. Joy's chest tightened. She hadn't expected this. For years, she had measured her worth by ratings, headlines, applause, but here was proof of something deeper, something she could never quantify. She reached out, clasping the young woman's hand. Thank you, Joy whispered, her voice cracking. You have no idea how much I needed to hear that today. Back on stage, Sherri struggled to carry the show forward, but the energy had shifted. She couldn't ignore the guilt gnawing inside her. She had acted out of fear, fear of losing her audience, fear of letting heaviness seep into her sanctuary. But maybe, she realized, hope wasn't just about keeping things light. Maybe hope also meant allowing honesty, even when it was uncomfortable. When the show ended, Sherri made her way to the dressing rooms. She hesitated outside Joy's door, listening to the faint murmur of voices. Finally, she pushed it open. Inside, she found Joy sitting beside Mariah, both women wiping tears, both smiling faintly through the emotion. The sight humbled Sherri. Joy, Sherri said softly, I owe you an apology. Joy looked up, startled. Sherri stepped closer. You were right. Sometimes we do sugarcoat things here. Sometimes I hide behind the laughter. But the truth is, people need honesty, too. And you gave them that today. I shouldn't have shut you down. I shouldn't have let you walk off like that. The two women locked eyes. Years of differences, clashing styles, and generational divides melted away in that moment. What remained were two human beings, each carrying their scars, each trying to use their voice to make the world a little better. Joy chuckled through her tears. Well, you know me, I can't keep my mouth shut. But I never meant to hurt you, Sherri. I worry the world forgets what really matters. And what do you think really matters? Sherri asked. Grace, Joy said simply. Grace for ourselves, grace for each other. The world's cruel enough. We can't afford to add to it. The room grew still. Sherri nodded, her own eyes glassy. She extended her arms, and Joy, hesitant at first, leaned into the embrace. The audience, long gone from the studio, would never see this moment. But in many ways, it was the most important one of the day. From then on, something shifted, not just between Joy and Sherri, but within the culture of the show itself. Sherri began weaving in more honest conversations alongside the laughter. Joy, invited back weeks later, returned not as a clash of personalities but as a bridge between generations of women who had fought to be heard. And Mariah, the intern who had spoken up, found herself inspired to pursue her own dream, one not of fame, but of using her voice to uplift others, just as Joy once had. In the end, what had begun as a heated clash became something unexpected, a lesson in humility, compassion, and the power of grace. For television audiences, it was just another episode, quickly forgotten. But for those who were there, it was a reminder that sometimes, being kicked off is really just being led toward a deeper truth. Joy left that studio not defeated, but renewed. She realized her worth wasn't defined by applause or airtime. It was measured in lives touched, hearts lifted, laughter shared through the dark nights of struggle. And for the first time in a long while, she walked out into the sunlight with a genuine smile, carrying with her the reminder that kindness, not conflict, was the legacy worth leaving behind.